Hello, my earthlings. Yes, I'm using earthlings as my greeting. It's all inclusive. Today I'm sharing my expertise on how to start an LLC in Arizona. Who am I? I'm a pilot, an airline transport pilot, and a flight instructor for over 24 years. A lawyer licensed in Arizona for over 10 years, and also for 10 years a professor at the best aviation university in the world, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I volunteer with the FAA safety team out of the Scottsdale FSDO as a safety rep and a drone pro. I am the author of 2 legal textbooks and co-author of 3 others. I have a passion for all flying things and law, and apparently also dogs and motorcycles. This presentation you're about to see is for educational purposes only. While I am a lawyer licensed in Arizona, I am not your lawyer. That would only happen if you hired me and filled out a contract signed by you and I. On today's agenda, a brief overview of LLCs, followed by a step-by-step guide to forming an LLC in Arizona. I include a sample operating agreement in the links below and some other links for your practical application. An LLC is a legal business entity that provides limited liability protection to its owners, called members. LLCs are pass-through entities for tax purposes, meaning that the business itself is not taxed. Instead, the members report the business's income and losses on their individual tax returns. What are the advantages of LLCs? Well, members are only liable for their own actions and investments, not for the debts or liabilities of the LLC. LLCs avoid double taxation that corporations face. LLCs offer more flexibility in terms of ownership and management structures. Setting up an LLC is relatively simple and inexpensive compared to other business structures. What are these other business structures? Well, they include sole proprietorships, partnerships, and corporations. Let's elaborate. A sole proprietorship is a business owned and operated by one person. What are the disadvantages to that? Well, the owner is personally responsible for all business debts and liabilities. It can be difficult to raise capital for a sole proprietorship. The business may end if the owner dies or becomes incapacitated. A partnership is a business structure formed by 2 or more individuals who agree to share the profits and losses of a business. What are the disadvantages to this? Well, general partners are personally liable for the partnership's debts and obligations. Disagreements among partners can lead to conflicts and difficulties in managing the business. A partnership can be dissolved if a partner dies or withdraws. A corporation is a legal entity that is separate from its owners. It is a distinct entity with its own rights and responsibilities. So what are some key characteristics? Well, a corporation is considered a legal person distinct from its owners, which are called shareholders. Shareholders are generally not personally liable for the corporation's debts and obligations. Corporations are subject to corporate income tax on their profits, and shareholders are taxed on dividends they receive. Corporations have a formal structure, including a board of directors and officers. What are some types of corporations? Well, a C corporation, the most common type of corporation, is subject to double taxation. An S corporation is a type of corporation that offers pass-through taxation, allowing it to avoid double taxation. And an LLC is a hybrid business structure that combines features of a corporation and a partnership. So what are some advantages? Well, shareholders are not personally liable for the corporation's debts. A corporation can continue to exist even if its owners change. Corporations can sell shares of stock to raise capital. Corporations often have a higher perceived level of professionalism and credibility. What are the disadvantages? C corporations are subject to corporate income tax and shareholder income tax. Setting up and managing a corporation can be more complex than other business structures. Corporations must comply with various regulations and filing requirements. The Arizona legislature houses on their website all Arizona statutes, including Title 10, dealing with corporations and associations, and Title 29, dealing with partnerships. Links are found below this YouTube video. So why form an LLC in Arizona? Arizona has no corporate income tax or franchise tax for LLCs. Arizona law provides strong limited liability protection for LLC members. Arizona allows for a variety of ownership and management structures. And Arizona is known for its business-friendly climate and regulations. Before we go any further, I must talk to you about the alter ego doctrine. This could get you in legal trouble. The alter ego doctrine is a legal concept that allows a court to disregard the corporate veil and hold the individual shareholders or owners of a corporation personally liable for the corporation's debts or liabilities. This doctrine is typically applied when the corporation is a mere instrumentality of the individual or a group of individuals, or when the corporate form is abused to perpetrate a fraud or injustice. So what are some key elements of this alter ego doctrine? The individual or group must have complete control over the corporation. There must be a unity of interest between the corporation and the individual or group. The corporation must have failed to observe corporate formalities, such as holding regular meetings, keeping adequate records, and separating corporate and personal funds. The individual or group must have used the corporate form to perpetrate a fraud or injustice. If a court finds that the alter ego doctrine applies, it can pierce the corporate veil and hold the individuals personally liable for the corporation's debts or liabilities. This can have significant financial consequences for the individuals involved. It is important to note that the alter ego doctrine is a complex legal concept, and the specific requirements may vary by jurisdiction. If you have concerns about the alter ego doctrine, it is advisable to consult with an attorney. I will start now with your step-by-step guide to forming an LLC in Arizona. We begin on the website of the Arizona Corporation Commission, the ACC. The ACC's mission is to power Arizona's future by ensuring safe, reliable, and affordable utility services, growing Arizona's economy as they help local entrepreneurs achieve their dream of starting a business, modernizing an efficient, effective, and responsive government agency, and protecting Arizona citizens by enforcing an ethical securities marketplace. The eCorp website of the ACC will allow you to create an account to file your documents online. Filing online is fast, simple, and convenient. In fact, some online filings can be made instantaneously, whereas filing by mail or fax will require a wait time. Also, when you file online, the filing system will ensure that you complete all the required fields, and it will provide helpful commentary along the way to make sure your filing gets done properly. You can create an account on the link below this YouTube video or sign in once you've already done that. Note: ACC staff cannot assist you in preparing your filings. They are not licensed to practice law and are not licensed document preparers. As such, they cannot give you advice or assist you with the preparation of your documents. If you have formation, tax, or legal questions, it is strongly recommended that you consult with an attorney or tax professional before submitting your filing. Many questions can be answered in the FAQs page on the ACC website. It is linked below for your convenience. Now it's time to choose a business name. The name must not be already in use by another business in Arizona. The name must include the words Limited Liability Company or LLC, and the name cannot be misleading or deceptive. If you have intentions of creating a corporation or LLC later, but would like to reserve a name for it now, you may do so with a name reservation. A name reservation is not required to form a business. It simply holds your name for up to 120 days. It is not required. In general, entity names must be distinguishable from other existing entity names or trade names and must contain certain entity identifiers such as LLC for a limited liability company. The ACC does not register or recognize DBAs. DBA stands for Doing Business As. You can record DBA names through the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. That link is also available below. It is permissible to have the phrase DBA within the name of your LLC, so long as that phrase is within the name and is not used as the identifier. A trade name is active for a period of 5 years and carries certain legal rights. You can register trade names through the Arizona Secretary of State's office, and the link is also available below. Choose a name for the business entity and search it on the internet, in other words, Google it, to see if other persons are using the name. If others are using the name, you may incur legal consequences if you use the name or a very similar name. Consult an attorney to find out these legal consequences of using a name that is owned by or used by others. If you are going to have a website that is the same as the entity name, you could purchase the domain name at this stage, or wait until after you've checked the name availability through the ACC. The ACC does not sell or register domain names, and owning a domain name does not give you any right to the name through the ACC or the Arizona Secretary of State. Domain names are separate from the ACC and the Arizona Secretary of State. Arizona's Secretary of State website provides a tool to search for available business names. That link is also below. Let's turn our attention now to appointing a registered or statutory agent. A statutory agent's responsibility is to accept service of process of legal documents on behalf of the LLC. Every LLC is required to always appoint and maintain a statutory agent. Failure of a business to maintain a statutory agent will result in the business being administratively dissolved. If a statutory agent is an individual, that person must be at least 18 years of age and reside in Arizona. If a statutory agent is a business, that business must have an address in Arizona and must be authorized to transact business in this state. The business may be a domestic corporation, a foreign corporation authorized to transact business in Arizona, a domestic LLC, or a foreign LLC authorized to transact business in Arizona. The statutory agent must sign and accept their appointments. If the business is formed online through the ACC's eCorp system, the statutory agent can simply accept their appointment through their own eCorp dashboard. To appoint a new statutory agent, an LLC may file a statement of change online. You can conveniently enter the name and email address of your new statutory agent, who will be sent an email prompting them to complete their online appointment acceptance. To resign, a statutory agent must submit a statement of resignation. This may also be done online. To change the statutory agent's address, a statement of change needs to be filed and again may be done online. An LLC is formed or created by submitting articles of organization to the ACC. The ACC staff will examine the articles for statutory compliance and will either approve the articles for filing or reject the articles with instructions on how to resubmit the document. Once the articles are approved for filing, the LLC is organized, meaning it's formed or created. If you wish to form a non-profit LLC, please pay attention to the following. There are only LLCs in Arizona, not specifically non-profit LLCs. If you want a tax-exempt LLC, you will form an LLC and then apply to the IRS for tax-exempt status. The IRS may require specific language in the Articles of Organization to obtain tax-exempt status, and that language is not included in these ACC forms. You should research the IRS requirements before submitting any documents to the ACC, and the IRS website is provided below. If you wish to form a professional LLC, otherwise known as a PLLC, keep in mind that typically persons in licensed professions, such as doctors, accountants, or lawyers, form professional LLCs. By now, you should have settled upon the business name, and you should have gathered the registered or statutory agent information. You should know the number of members. The LLC must have at least one member. And you should know the purpose of the LLC. There is one more question to ask. When you create an LLC, you must choose how the LLC will conduct its daily affairs by choosing whether it will be manager-managed or member-managed. This is called its management structure. If the LLC will be run by one or more managers and not by its members, then you must check the vested in managers box, and you must list the name and address of the manager. And then you must list the name and address of all members who own 20% or more of the LLC, and then check the appropriate box under the manager and member names. If one or more members will make business decisions for the LLC and there are no managers, then you must check the reserved to members box, and you must list the names and addresses of all members of the LLC, no matter what percentage they own. An LLC is owned by its members. Members of an LLC are its owners, much like shareholders of a corporation own the corporation. Managers of LLCs are like the board of directors or the officers of a corporation. If a manager is also a member, then the manager may have an ownership interest in the LLC. If the manager is just a manager and is not also a member, then the manager has no ownership interest in the LLC. If the LLC is member managed, then the members, as a group, run the day-to-day operations of the LLC, subject to any operating agreements. More on that later. Member-managed LLCs, where each member has a vote, function very similarly to partnerships. If the LLC is manager-managed, the manager or managers run the day-to-day operations of the LLC instead of the members, subject to an operating agreement. Manager-managed LLCs function more like corporations, where the board of directors and the officers make decisions, and the shareholders don't really participate in day-to-day operations. The same person can be both the only member and the only manager. The records of the ACC will reflect only members or managers. No such managing member can be listed. If the LLC is set up with a manager structure, it is a manager-managed. Then it will have one or more managers, and those managers may also be members, but the ACC does not recognize a title of managing member. If the LLC has a member structure, it is member-managed. Then the ACC will recognize only members, but not a managing member. LLCs are not required to file annual reports. Pursuant to Arizona law, only corporations are required to file annual reports on or before their prescribed due date. The filing fee for forming an LLC in Arizona is $50 or $85 for expedited service. and the links may be found below. By law, certain documents must be published in a newspaper of general circulation or posted to the ACC's database. The determining factor typically depends on the county where the business or statutory agent are located. Following the approval of your filing, the ACC will inform you by letter if your document is required to be published. They provide a list of newspapers as a public courtesy, as the ACC does not endorse or have affiliation with any newspaper. Note that some cities or counties are exempt, and there are links below this video for those lists of newspapers. Although it is not required, many customers choose to file their affidavit of publication with the ACC. The affidavit of publication is provided by the newspaper as verification of the publication. If you choose to file this document with the ACC, it will be placed in your business's filing history, and it will be viewable as public record. If you do not file the affidavit of publication with the ACC, you should retain it as part of your business's records. You can obtain an EIN, an employer identification number, or a TIN, a tax identification number, via the IRS website. The Arizona Commerce Authority Small Business Services has links to various informative sites concerning taxes, and these are shared below. The next step is to open a bank account for your business with your bank or credit union. You will need your articles of organization and your EIN. Earlier, I mentioned this operating agreement. So what is this? An operating agreement is a legal document that outlines the rights and responsibilities of the LLC's members, as well as the company's operating procedures. While not required by law in Arizona, it is highly recommended for all LLCs. The operating agreement may be written, which is recommended, or it may be verbal. It may contain any provision that is not contrary to law and that relates to the business of the LLC, the conduct of its affairs, its rights, duties, or powers, and the rights, duties, or powers of its members, managers, officers, employees, or agents. Do not send your operating agreement to the ACC. Here are some key provisions to include in your operating agreement: ownership interests, management structure, profit and loss sharing, dispute resolution, member addition and withdrawal, and dissolution. For more information on operating agreements, I highly recommend you read the statutes in ARS 29, 3105, 3106, and 3107, and the links are shared below for your convenience. The specific licenses and permits required for an LLC will vary depending on the industry and activities of the business. Some common permits include sales tax licenses, business licenses, and occupational licenses. The process for obtaining licenses and permits will vary by agency and jurisdiction. Be sure to research the specific requirements for your business. I cannot overemphasize the importance of maintaining accurate records for tax purposes and compliance with regulations. There are many types of insurance that LLCs may need, for example, general liability, professional liability, etc. I would speak with an insurance agent. Consult with an attorney to ensure compliance with all legal requirements and to address specific questions or concerns. Register the business entity with the city in which the business is located, or county if you're in an unincorporated area. This is for transaction privilege tax purposes and for any business or occupational licenses that the city requires. The ACC does not issue business or occupational licenses. LLCs are pass-through entities for tax purposes, meaning that they are not taxed as corporations. Instead, the LLC's income and losses flow through to the members, who report them on their individual tax returns. This avoids the double taxation that corporations face. LLCs can elect to be taxed as a corporation if they choose. This can be advantageous for certain tax purposes, such as deducting business losses. LLC members who are self-employed are required to pay estimated taxes throughout the year. You should consult with a tax professional. You might need to complete a transaction privilege tax application with the Arizona Department of Revenue, and the link may be found below. At this point, all that is left is to take what I have shared today and put it into practice. You may always email me with any questions, and my information is also shared below in the links. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.